makeup, security, lights, camera, action.
Take one.
All right, well, we're back again with some more travellers' tales in the West Country, visiting friends. And today we are with a dear old pal of mine, Oily, just outside Newton Abbot and Ashburton, on his piece of land. He's been here for approximately 10 years, and I've seen personally that he's put a lot of time and effort into his sustainability and his impact on his environment and his self-sufficiency, etc. So let me introduce you to Oily, and we're going to have a little chat about his life and his situation.
Yeah, quite fine, yeah. Good to see you, Steve.
First question, I suppose, is when did you start living like this and what attracted you to it?
I started this about mid-98. I knew a lot of people on the travelling scene anyway. I'd been on the fringes of it, been more into the bike culture at the time. Had enough of paying rent for somewhere that wasn't mine, never going to be on the mortgage ladder, always going to be chasing my tail, working until I'm 70 years old with pretty much nothing to show and only having a big headache out of it and a miserable lifetime to look back on. So decided, right, time to change. I want my freedom, I want it for the rest of my life, and I want to help my friends. So I ended up buying a little van, a little Leyland DAF 400, lived in that for about the best part of 18 months. Opportunity of a bus came up, jumped at it, worked night and day at a 40-hour, 50-hour week job, ended up over 9 weeks stripping the coach out after work every night, rebuilding the coach into a mobile home.
I can remember you buying that bus. I met Oily hitchhiking by the side of the road, and he picked up and gave me a lift, and it turned out through chatting that we had a lot of mutual friends. And I can remember the bus that he lives on is behind us here in the background shot. And I can remember you painting that bus with £18 worth of
I remember that
green
day
paint,
very well.
driving it very proudly around Torquay and Newton Abbot. And I've seen the amount of time that you've put into the whole field here, which is beautifully done out. And you've got your own power sources with your wind turbines and your solar panels. How important is it to you to be self-sufficient in that way?
It's very, very important for me to be self-sufficient like that, Steve, because at the end of the day, I'm not actually hooked up into the main grid and per se Joe Blog society. I'm doing it off my own back, and I think it's a way that most people in society should go and actually take a leaf out of what we're doing as a fringe of society and do it for themselves. Everybody talks about going green. It'd be a lot easier to, right, the price of solar energy and renewable isn't cheap, and there should be levies put in place so that people can actually obtain this technology cheaper, because ultimately it makes you more responsible for the amount of electricity and the amount of damage you are doing to the planet.
For hundreds of years, gypsy communities, Irish traveller communities, English gypsies, Romany travellers, new travellers, whatever broad sense of nomadism has always been scapegoated by the mainstream media, but also sometimes someone in a local authority can get a bee in their bonnet about an individual, and I think that you've had an experience.
I have had a personal experience
which
of that.
Was very worrying for you. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that situation?
I don't mind saying a little bit about that. The land that you can see in the picture here, I've fought tooth and nail for. I've been here for 10 years. It's always had travellers in here of one kind or the other. They've always paid their way with the local farmer. He's had no problem with it until a member of the local community decided that they didn't like my face or the vehicle didn't fit per se, and I ended up with an eviction notice which was broadcast on the local papers in the West Country on a Saturday morning, which meant the press had been into my land, taken photographs without any permission, wrote an article without any permission. It then went to a preliminary hearing where the local council voted 19-1 against me. I had a solicitor involved that in the end I actually sacked, for want of a better word, because I knew more about the law in this particular case than she did, and took the case on myself. We had sworn affidavits then taken from the previous travellers on this land in front of a solicitor at the farm with the farmer present, which were then handed to the local council, at which point the eviction was then quashed, and it was a matter of the land being changed from being arable to mixed use of the land, which basically meant I could stay without any more paperwork being pushed through. Unfortunately, when that was finished, the local council, Teambridge in this case, then decided they would try and have me for council tax over £1,000 a year for living in a bus with a cold water standpipe. I then had to go back to court and all the way to appeal with that, represent myself yet again in front of the local district council, at which point it was quashed on a few key points. The experience is something that I wouldn't want any of my friends in the travelling community, from any part of the travelling community, to go through personally. I think it's an absolute corruption of local power.
You had, a difficult footing with the council tax people. But
Very.
But there were people within the council who then overrode that and assisted you.
Yes, there were.
Right.
People that actually could see through the, for want of a better word, quagmire of like rubbish that was going on.
Yeah.
And people were jumping the gun, and it's only that there are certain members of the council, and these people are present in every council, it seems.
Did Teambridge Council have a policy for travellers such as yourself in those situations?
No, they did not.
And when they didn't have a travellers policy, did they refer to another county council for their policy? Or how did they make their decisions?
They were making their decisions through the paperwork that had been passed down through central government to local government, from local government to district government, e.g. the local county council in this particular case.
This is perhaps an opportunity to turn the spotlight onto a recent European Court decision, which is the decision in O'Connor, where the European Court have actually given a direction that at some point all county councils will have to provide a suitable accommodation for different cultures of travelling groups. But this isn't being applied yet. Chris Johnson, the leading solicitor in the country for Gypsies and Travellers' Rights, author of the Gypsy and Traveller Law Update and senior partner in the law firm, the Community Law Partnership that gives travellers advice across the country. And his words were, the floodgates will open. And we're kind of waiting for those floodgates to open, and it appears that until that happens, people like yourself have to go through an awful lot of trouble to achieve what it is that you
all we're actually trying to do, individually and as a group collective from around the country, is make local councils aware that there are these laws in place, and as they are the guardians of these particular laws, they have to actually uphold them. Now, if you put it into context of allocating land for us, without our part of culture, it would be a big part of the UK culture missing, full stop. Now, to have land actually allocated is hard work, because it's breaking down the social stereotypes that local villages and communities have of the travelling community. To be able to have land somewhere allocated with standpipes for water, somewhere to fix your vehicles, even if they were to implement a policy that every 12 months you get up and shift, unless you have children going to the local schools, and obviously you have a local social infrastructure with work ethics, medical records, etc. There should be land allocated for 50 to 100 travellers at a time, and there should be at least 2 or 3 sites in most district counties, e.g. Teignmouth, South Hams, Torbay, which is my end of the country. There should be these sites actually there, so people can travel down from, say, Scotland, for example, coming down to see their family that lives on the road, and know that there is somewhere safe for them to park their vehicle up, so they can go out for the night with their friends and come back and find that they've not had their window broken or something daubed up the side of their caravan, which does happen. We do need that land. We do have our own social way of life. We are a part of society, and we are a culture, and we should have the right to be able to live that culture and have the land allocated to actually perpetuate that and hopefully help Joe Boggs, per se, the main society, with things that they don't understand yet, which without us would be a very, very cold black and white world. That's all really I've got to say on it. The council should provide what they've actually said. It's okay promising somebody something, but empty promises, after so many years of them, people lose heart with somebody that says it. It's like the boy at Cry Wolf, and local councils are at that stage at the moment, unfortunately. They've promised everything, and so far we have nothing.
End of tape.